Hey everybody, just wanted to let you know that we're going to begin here in just a couple of minutes. We're running a little bit over on the most recent event that we were just hosting. So we'll be in just a minute. Thank you.
You're all right.
Hey,
How you
hey,
doing?
hey. I got your message. I didn't put it up yet, but I will. I will.
Oh, man.
I've been busy. But thank you. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, if you paste it in even right now, it'll immediately update.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can see.
Lisa.
Huzzah!
Oh my God.
Lee.
Cool.
Oh, it's Lee. There we go.
Hello.
Okay. Hold on. I've got to talk to my husband for a minute.
Hey,
Let me
Helen.
mute for a
Okay.
How
minute.
you doing, Lisa?
I'm okay. How are you? Wherever you've
Pretty good.
gone. There you are.
Pretty
How
good.
you doing,
I'm
Shane?
always moving.
Hey, Labra. Good to see you.
Yeah.
Haven't seen you in a long time.
It's at zero
Snazzy
zero
suit.
this time. Yeah, I've not been on a lot this
Oh,
week.
thank
I've
you.
had a
Thank
lot of
you.
work to
It's
do.
Christmas.
That's okay.
I've made some improvements with my map though, so I'm happy with that at least.
Nice. That's awesome.
Whoa.
For one, I moved it off of Glitch, so now people who have problems with Glitch won't have problems with my map anymore.
Nice. That's good. I was enjoying the music in the background in that other space. I don't know about any of you, but I was
Yeah, it's
finding
a bit
that pretty
quiet in
Yeah.
here.
relaxing.
I
Yeah.
was too. It was really
Yeah.
nice.
Nice.
Maybe we should just
It's a
host the
lovely
event over there.
space.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we can do that for next time. Right. Well, we're 5 minutes in. I guess we can kick off. Yeah, most of everybody in here is kind of a familiar face, but for the sake of the ritual, why not just start out like we usually do? Behind me here is the Banter website. It's where you can go and find all sorts of information about how you can build spaces here in Banter, right? Every single space that you've ever been to is built in a way that any user could create that space. And we're pretty passionate about enabling people to create. So, two important things on the website, you've got the docs link in the top right, which is the documentation. In there, you'll find all the information about how you can build things today in Banter. The other important link is the Discord link, right? We're always actively having passionate debates internally in the Discord about how we can and can't improve things on the platform and just general chit chat, right? So it's a great place to go if you've got an idea, if you want to just spitball, if you want to show something you've been working on, if you want to get help with how to do some stuff in Unity, in Blender, in Banter. There's lots of people there and they're always very eager to help. So, yeah, definitely jump into the Discord if there happens to be anybody here in front of me who isn't already on there, that is. Uh, uh, yeah, something I'm pretty excited about that we've been working on internally is the next version of our SDK, which we're hoping is going to really drastically change things in terms of how capable you can be when it comes to building games in Banter. Games is kind of the core fundamental drive and goal there for us. So in the previous event, where most of you were too, we were talking about synced interactables, which I think is going to be a game changer in itself. That's something we're actively working on now and should hopefully have available within the next couple of weeks. We're hoping to work throughout the Christmas period on the second version of the SDK as well. So I'm looking forward to being able to share something with you as early as I can in the new year. But yeah, I mean, it's already shaping up to be a pretty sick little system in terms of what we're planning to do with it. But yeah, I'm not going to go into any more detail than that in terms of how to create spaces, unless you want me to. And if so, you can jump onto this little yellow cube right here, and from there,
Sorry.
we can megaphone you, and you can ask any question you like about making spaces in Banter. So, Casper, oh, okay, go ahead.
Hi. Oh, can you do it on the Quest, or do you need a PC to make spaces?
That's a great question. So right now, the methods to build spaces all involve using external tools. So it is probably best to do that on a PC. It is probably possible to do it on your phone because you can make basic spaces by just being able to type HTML. Most smartphones in this day and age, I'm sure, have that capability. Oh, we've lost him.
So, no, I'm here. Sorry, that just is. It's
Oh,
okay.
I can't see you.
I'm on your left.
Okay. Yeah. So in the future, we're working on in-game tools, right? A world builder. It's something that we're actually thinking about a lot right now as we build out the next version of our SDK, is trying to figure out how we can future-proof what we're building now so that it can also work with a world builder in future, and that all of this stuff can kind of be interoperable, right? So that spaces you build with a world builder can also be, mixed in with spaces you build in Unity, or spaces that you build primarily in JavaScript or HTML, right? So, yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay.
I have Tokra who would like to ask a question.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Here we are.
Hi.
Hi, Tokra.
I enjoyed a lot the feature with the green screen option in the world with the table and having other people like seeing them in my home. How would you feel about an option like globally in Banter's menu to enable like the green screen everywhere and just being able to use that?
Yeah, that's a. I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you really enjoy that. I think a lot of people do. In fact, it's a surreal experience, one that I don't think has happened before we started doing it here on Banter. You can thank Faye for coming up with that idea. That was a really great idea. But yeah, to answer your question, I think we will most definitely look to have native pass-through support in the app, right? So that you don't need to use virtual desktop and you don't need to use your PC for that. I think we want to be able to try to support as many devices as we can in Banter. So we want to see how many devices can support pass-through in some fashion and be able to work in the same way, right? I think with Quest, it's pretty obvious. With Pico, once again, also pretty obvious. But things get a bit murky when you get onto PC, Index, HTC, Vive, different things like that. But it's definitely something that we're passionate about. And I think given how much of a positive response we've had to the dinner parties, we're definitely going to implement that. The whole exercise, in fact, was kind of a test to see if people would be interested in something like this. And I think it's safe to say that they are.
Yeah, we even have one in 2 hours for those who want to check it out.
There you go. Perfect plug.
Woo!
Yeah, and if this becomes like a priority at one point, I just have one thing that might be worth investing in, besides just adding a button with the green screen, is if the green colors from all the avatars could be shifted a bit, so we don't have holes in the avatars afterwards automatically.
Gotcha.
That would be like
Yes, I
a
see what you're
cool thing to
saying.
have in this case.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure immediately out of the gate how we would approach that. I think trying to pick an extreme enough green that might be less common was how I assumed that worked. But honestly, I haven't dug into it personally a whole lot yet. So if there is a way to somehow do that, then I definitely would. I didn't. Is that much? Do you experience that a lot, Faye, at the dinner party? Do you often have people who?
Sometimes
Right.
it's happening more at Christmas time because everybody's transitioning to a lot of greens because there's a lot of things out there for Christmas and
Gotcha.
holiday. But it does happen occasionally. Could
Gotcha.
try lime green, but then we might alienate Lucky there with your shoes.
But that could also
Yeah.
be an OBS setting you can tweak to prevent that.
OBS.
For recording.
Yes, or do you have in virtual desktop an option to pick the color and set
We
a
do.
threshold?
Right.
There is like a
yes.
threshold
So
and
we can
similarity.
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
choose
So-
different colors.
And also
to be-
if you play with the threshold a little bit, that should also help in the first place.
Yes.
Yeah, it should work. But to be fair, if that doesn't work, I mean, even if there's like shifting the color to a different color, it's best to have a different color than to have a hole. So even if it changes a bit the avatar, like it's best to have something than nothing. It's still
Yeah.
like could be a
What
thing.
could be really interesting is that, essentially how you achieve that is just by getting rid of most of the geometry around you, bar the table, right? And then literally just having an inverted sphere that's unlit and has that green color on it, basically. So I think maybe if this was to be integrated into the game in the future, that color, as well as your setting for it, might be a dynamic option that you can change on a per user basis, right? So it could be that you tweak it and you have your own settings for the color of the background and the color that your pass-through matches, and those are kind of lined up automatically. But then somebody else has the power to tweak it and change it to be a completely different color for them if that's what they want, right? And I assume in those cases it doesn't have to be green, right? We could shift to, I don't know, what's maybe yellow or something? Is that a non-Christmas color, yellow or orange or something? I don't know. You could have a
I don't
seasonal
think we need another color
palette.
for this. Even if it's darker, brighter, or something, it should be enough.
Yeah.
Maybe you don't need
Yeah,
another
well,
color. Yeah.
having
Thank
those
you.
options on a per user basis then should be a pretty, I think, a pretty powerful solution there.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tokra. Go ahead, Labrat.
Going along a similar vein and taking another page out of VR chat, I get I do that a lot, but another feature that would probably be very nice to implement is an actual like holdable camera that has features like filtering out people's name tags. You can just take pictures of just the people without the name tags, or it has a filter option where it will enable everyone's name tags, so you can take a picture with everyone's name tags in it, or being able to set the camera locked in a position in the world while you take the screen with you to stand with everyone else to still take a picture,
Gotcha.
and so on and so forth. It's a thing that VRChat has for being able to take pictures and not just screenshots of what. Their version even has like a drone fly feature for that works both in VR and in 2D, where you can actually fly the camera around and get the camera positioned without having to physically place it by hand where you want it to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, a selfie camera, a full-blown, fully featured selfie camera. I think is what we're talking about here, and I think you're right, Labrat. I think that is definitely a great idea, and definitely something that we want to implement. We have some worlds right now where you've got selfie cameras, kind of video cameras that you can move around. I don't know if any of you saw the Upload VR showcase and then the SideQuest Indie Spotlight afterwards, but we used some selfie cameras as part of that studio setup to record the people in there, believe it or not. So definitely love playing and exploring with these things for sure. But I mean, maybe it's an opportunity, right, to maybe see if we can help at all, right? So first of all, you mentioned about the free flying camera and having the ability to do that. So that feature, believe it or not, already exists. You can only do it if you're the mod of the world. That's the limitation there. But if you're the mod, you can hit F7 on the keyboard and it puts you into a no-clip camera mode with a little slider at the bottom that lets you adjust the smoothing for that camera, which if you want to see how that looks, you can check out some of the recent videos on our YouTube channel to see how that kind of smoothed output works. You've also got follow cameras. You can actually set up a whole thing where you could do like gameplay in sports, right, Marcus? We should be talking about this for Tush Push, where you can have cameras that you can jump between person to person as they go down through the track and see them as like a third person view as it follows them. It's perfect for your use case in terms of doing that. But
and that's great for setting up like event sort of camera streaming. But yeah, I'm just more referring to a camera person can hold, place, and just
yes,
take screenshot. Like when
a
we have
selfie
the dinner
camera.
party events and Faye takes a picture of all of us. It'd be nice if
Yes,
everyone can be in the picture, and you can exclude things like name tags so the picture doesn't get all ruined.
gotcha. Yeah, no, I definitely understand where you're coming from there. A good,
All right.
decent selfie camera is something that we should definitely have. You know, something that maybe everybody doesn't know either, right? If you're using a Quest, it's actually super easy and quick to take pictures and videos, right? You press and hold the Oculus menu and pull the trigger for a second, and it takes a picture, right? I just took one of all of us as I was saying it there. If you press and hold the Oculus and then press and hold the trigger, it starts recording a video, at which point you can press and hold the Oculus and press it once again to take a picture while you're recording the video. And then you can press and hold Oculus and press and hold the trigger, and it recentered me. And it will stop the video, right? So I've got a video of all of that. So that's something that everybody on Quest can use. I appreciate obviously 2D mode can't use that, but
well, and again that works for if you want something from your own perspective. And in 2D, even in 2D mode, I can take screenshots, but it doesn't work for if you want to be within the scene you're capturing.
yes, no,
I
I understand.
More than just the cameraman. Yeah.
I guess what I'm trying to put across, Labrad, is that we definitely understand the importance of having cameras and being able to capture your own stream of consciousness as you move through the metaverse. And also we understand the wider content creation need that we have a number of users now who are capturing content in the game and creating videos from it. And that's fantastic. We love all of those use cases and we want to cover all of them. And in the meantime, all I'm offering is some potential workarounds, although not as ideal, let's say. But you're right, a selfie camera system where you can place it. Maybe it follows you like a follow drone. Maybe you can move it from a distance. You can control things on it like the zoom and the dolly, that field of view effect you get where things kind of zoom out. We had that in some of the other camera systems. But no, we definitely are excited about this kind of technology and how people want to use it. So we're definitely going to build a selfie camera system as well.
I will put an asterisk on some of those features. Something like the being able to fly the camera around. We might want to also be able to, for the map makers, be able to toggle it off, because something like that could easily break a map if someone can just change their perspective than what the map maker intends.
Yes, agreed. As it stands right now, our approach has been that if you're the moderator of the space, you should have that ability. And I guess we can start to explore that and see if there's a need to kind of open that up so that the space creator could allow users of the space to do that too. I think generally giving people the option is the right way to go. And when we overhaul the menu, we're hoping most of the like space level features like Spider-Man and teleport and all of that kind of stuff, you can toggle those all off at a user level, right? If the space has enabled them. So this, I think, fits nicely into that paradigm that, yeah, you could have a no clip camera and just go and fly around the world. And if that's what the space creator wants you to do, then yeah, why not?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have Lucky Packet with the question.
Hey, Lucky, how are you?
I'm okay, thanks. I just wanted to
You're muted right
say
now.
thanks, Shane, for everything that you've been doing
I can
to
hear
the
him.
community.
Okay, interesting. Go for it.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you just fine.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to say thanks, Shane, for everything you've been doing to the community. I need to go. My battery is gonna die.
Okay.
But whenever you guys host community events like this, I'll try and join whenever
Awesome.
possible.
I appreciate that.
Could you repeat
Well,
it,
thanks for
please?
coming tonight. Yeah, he just said thanks for everything that we do. Apologies that his battery is about to run out, and any of these community run events
Rock
he hopes
on,
to be
man.
able to attend in future. Apologies. Oh, we might have just lost him. Yeah, looks like there was some issues with him being able to, in the
Yeah.
other world as well.
And
so I'm
only
not
him.
sure. Yes.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting. It'd be probably interesting to see if we can follow up and maybe find out where in the world he is, so that we can see if there's a problem there regionally. Okay, so Vanquisher, I see you edging your way towards the block. Have you got a question?
Yes, yeah. So I basically have actually three questions now. So the first one is more related to the game in general. So I know that currently there's somewhat a invite system. Let's say if I wanted to invite my friend to come to me, there is a way like you could press the button and it'll just show up a message saying that, okay, Vanquisher wanted you to come to this place, but it's just a URL that you can't really like click on it. So I was wondering if there would be a system where it would be implemented where if I invite my friend, it could either say, okay, accept or like ignore, decline, whatnot. So then I would know, okay, they're going to be like, they don't want to come to me or they'll just be teleporting to me right away.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Yes, absolutely. I think when we overhaul the menu, we'll probably address that. I think most of the mechanics are kind of there as it stands. We probably just need to polish it up a little bit. In fact, I can help you right now in that when that message comes up and says, come to me, there should actually be a message there that says, open your menu to join, right? So if you open your menu at that point, then there's a button immediately that you can click to join that person. And that stays there. It's kind of like a history that you can open up at any time. That could obviously be improved if it wasn't clear enough that you couldn't see it, right? So we'll definitely address that in the new menu overhaul. And thankfully, that'll be an easy one because we have all pieces there. We just need to put them together in a better way.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so my second question is more about space making. So I know you mentioned about eventually you would have like an in-game kind of building system. Is that correct?
That's correct,
so
yes.
Would that be something to be able to, let's say, like import certain assets like furniture or decorations, that kind of stuff, and then I could able to pull up my assets from a library and basically use my avatar to kind of point like the furniture going there or put some decoration up. So then let's say if there's like different events happening, I could always change out my decoration instead of like going back into Unity to do all that and import the asset bundle again. Would that be something that's possible?
Yeah, in a nutshell, yeah, absolutely. I think there'll be a couple of different ways that might work out. We've got kit bundles right now, which are kind of usually a
Yeah, I
collection
noticed that.
of prefab objects, right? So that
Mhm.
might evolve into a system where you might be able to leverage multiple kit bundles in the space and have a whole collection of objects that you can pick from and be able to place around your world. I think in terms of other formats, I mean, I think ideally we'd like to support as many as we can, but at the minimum, you know, formats like GLTF and maybe FBX and OBJ, those should also be things that you should be able to just link into your space, right? Now that might involve like, you know, when you import them, we upload them to our servers and then link them to your space so that they're hosted and everybody can access them, right? But yeah, absolutely. Just as you described, right? Being able to sort of pick from a view a selection of objects, spawn one out into your world, move it around, rinse and repeat that process until you're happy. That's definitely a workflow that we'll want to support. I mean, we're hoping to experiment with some other stuff as well. I don't know if you've seen that there's obviously quite a lot of AI interaction across the
Yep.
platform, but we'd love to experiment with being able to use, you know, voice prompts to create or dynamically generate or find and download and import assets based on things that you just ask for, right? So hopefully we'll have a number of different ways that you can do this, and within your world will basically give you access to a hierarchy that will let you place and move objects around, group objects together, you know, put an object inside another object, all of that kind of typical stuff you might expect to have from a hierarchy. Nice. That looks pretty sick.
Well, that sounds fantastic. I'm really looking forward to that definitely. So my last thing is it's more like a comment because just earlier I was in this second instance, and I do
Yes.
notice that Lucky Packet, he was trying to come up this stage multiple times, but then because of course he won't see the people in the first instance, so then it ended up let's say Lab Rat was teleporting in that instance in front of him, and he was just like, oh, he just like backs up. So like I don't know if there's a way that you could implement it so then it makes it easier for multiple instances to kind of see each other. I know I don't know, that's kind of like just putting everyone in one instance, but but yeah, but I saw him kind of jump up and down multiple times. I kind of felt bad.
Yes,
Are
no,
you seeing
you're
the
absolutely
billboard in
right.
all instances?
You're absolutely right. I think the solution to that, we've seen it before implemented really well, is the ability to have a system where people can raise their hands, right? So maybe in your menu, you've got a button that says raise hand, and that puts you onto a list that I can see, and I can systematically work down
Okay.
through them so everybody gets their turn. And then I see a person on the list, I can then megaphone them there and then from the list, and then they pop up wherever they are and ask their question. That's the kind of system that I think we're going to have. But yeah, I mean, it seems like I think some of these problems have been solved in the past, but there's always room for some more thinking if there's an opportunity to improve on that. Okay, no hard feelings, but yeah, so yeah, I hope that
Awesome.
answers your question.
Yep.
I only
Thank you very
kicked him,
much.
by the way. He can come straight back. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, thank you so much, Shane. I really appreciate it.
I think
Thank
he
you.
glitched.
It did. It looked like that. It looked like he was having
He
fun.
did. He definitely glitched because he started doing Superman.
It sounds to me, Casper, like we put him out of his misery, right? We helped him, right? There we go. He seems
Yeah.
happier. Nope.
I think
Nope, he's
he's
still
broken.
stuck in the wall.
Yeah, he's
What
stuck
is
on the wall.
happening?
Okay, this is a
I think
resident
he needs to be
glitchy foot.
teleported. Perfect use of a teleport
Is
system.
he holding on to Ellen?
Yeah, I'm
Like
just
the
going to
comes
megaphone
out.
you so everybody can see you.
That's so weird.
Oh, and you fixed yourself now. Oh.
Oh, he's big.
Oh,
Okay.
relax.
Labrat, you're on the brick. I'm assuming you've got another question.
Yeah. So another page. But something VRChat has implemented in the more recent years with after Udon came out was a variable system in the map. So to explain a bit more, so every map in VRChat has 128 variables that you can set, and you can have
Right.
triggers react to what those variables are set to. So
Right.
it makes it easier for late joiner synchronization because you have the host of the map being the de facto, this is what the list of what all the variables are set to, and then when a late joiner comes in,
Gotcha.
they'll get that list of all the variables, and all the different map settings will get set for them to how everyone else sees it.
Yes.
It would help. It would help with late joiner synchronization, basically.
Yeah. No, I get you. I completely get you. We have actually already got a system like that in place. We just need to build out support in Unity for it. We call them space state properties, and it's persistence, just like you state. If I come in, I set a property, somebody joins afterwards, they get whatever I set on that property. And that's a simple explanation of that workflow, but that then feeds into a lot of different things when it comes to any kind of persistent state that you want to store against that room, whether it's transient, right? It's only short lived and it might disappear in the near future, or even if it's longer term and might actually stay there. So yes, to answer your question, we do have a system like that in place already. Obviously, much like you do have with Udon as well, right? You know, you can get into code, actually writing code, and you can use all sorts of variables and other things from within that environment. But I think specifically, Labrat, you're talking more about things that you can use from within the Unity inspector and things you can kind of hook up there to be able to trigger things. Am I right?
Yeah, they're like more like global variables that will even if someone joins late, those variables will be set for them exactly the same, and all the event triggers tied to
Gotcha.
those variables will go off how they're supposed
Yes,
to.
absolutely. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. And then another further vein, I guess, would be, I think you already sort of touched on it in answering that previous question, but the ability to have some sort of persistence. So like if you have like a what's a good example? Like if you have a game that has multiple levels to it, you can have like variable. You not only do you set your variables for where they are in your game, but you can have the option to keep those variables set even if they leave the world and come back, so they end up exactly where they left off.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's possibly one and the same system, really, except for you make some of those global variables then specific to a certain user, even. I think that can fit the case I think you described there. Let's say you've got an escape room kind of thing, and it's multi-level, and they've completed level 1, but they haven't got any further than that. So when they come back, it brings them to level 2, back to the start every time, right? But there might also be a case where there's other things you want to be able to sync for a specific user. Like, let's say an example is just a simple leaderboard where you've got everybody's name next to it and their highest score. And you want that to stay there forever, even if they're not in the world, but only they can update their own score. I mean, I think it's one and the same system, really, under the hood, probably.
I will say the persistence part of the system is something that VRChat themselves has yet to even implement. They have promised it for years and never have come forth with it. For map creators in VRChat, the only way we've semi gotten around that, at least with like being able to go back to where you were in a level, is have a passcode system. So like you get to a certain point, you get given a passcode for how to get back to that point. And when you
Makes
rejoin the
sense.
world, you have a keypad you can enter in to get back to that point.
Yeah.
And it'll reset all the variables.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting there's lots of ways you can kind of figure out a way to get past these problems. You know, a long time ago, consoles suffered from the same problem of not having persistent storage, and a passcode is exactly how they solved it back then. You know, so yeah, but I mean, I think persistent storage is definitely something that we'd like to be able to do. I assume that VR chat must have some level of persistence under the hood now because they've got subscriptions for their worlds, right? So it has to store something against that world to say this
So,
user has something in
there-
there.
well, that is a separate thing where you can have a manifest list in your world of users with particular uh, things
Benefits.
versus other people, and you can
Yes.
have that, and you can have it reference a list externally from like GitHub or something, so that list can be updated without having to re-upload your world.
Yes, I gotcha.
There's no native persistence as of now, and it's something people in VR chat had wanted for a while, and it had been promised but never implemented.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we'll have as much trouble as VR chat when it comes to people having to rely on us so much when it comes to implementing features. I think the scripting engine that we've got today in Banter and the new one that we're going to have with SDK v2 is going to be like the one that we have now, but on steroids. It will basically give you full access to do pretty much anything that you could want to do, right? There's persistent storage right now in Banter by using something called local storage in the browser. You can cache data in that person's browser, so it's always unique to them or whatever, and it brings them back and stuff. And, you know, it works just about as well as it does on a website.
But if someone hits clear cache, wouldn't it end up erasing that data?
Well, there's obviously a lot more strategies than that, right? You can create your own server backend to your room. You can communicate with that freely. That's something that's very limited in VR chat, but you can do whatever you want. You could have any scale or size of backend database infrastructure that houses information about how your space works, right? That's, I think, one of the unique things about Banter is how much we kind of embrace the integrated browser and how much power that kind of gives us when it comes to leveraging, you know, the entire open internet and the entire web stack in the browser. So using that, you know, you can have a SQLite database that's stored somewhere. I have a bunch of examples of that. I use it for certain things.
Understood.
There'll be loads of ways that you can always do things in Banter, I guess is the point I'm making. But that being said, you know, we'll still look to implement that ourselves anyway.
Yeah, understood. You gotta understand, most of my questions come from the perspective of being able to do stuff in Unity. Because personally,
Yeah.
for me, I would
I
like
get that.
to not have to mess with the HTML side of the things and be able
Yeah,
to
I get that.
visually create in Unity versus having to figure out code to do what I want to do.
I get that. Yeah.
Not that I haven't already had to do that, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, you're not the only one who has an aversion to code. Aline specifically is allergic to code and pushes for everything to be no code. So you've got somebody internally on your team advocating there. I can tell you right now, supporting a full no code Unity workflow is a top priority for the next SDK and even for the current SDK in some form, right? But yeah, we want to be able to make sure that you can still create LabRat even if you're not using code in Unity.
All right, I'm done now.
Thank you.
I have a
I
question.
have Mattia with a question.
Sorry. Oh, wait.
You okay? We'll get to you just in a mo.
Okay.
Mattia, how are you doing?
Hello, Mattia.
Mattia.
And I wanted to ask you something about instances.
Okay.
For now, if I am correct, instances are a bit random. They generate based on the number of the current players, and you enter a random instance when you join a space. Is that correct?
What's up, man?
Not quite random. I think it will try to put you into the instance that has the largest number of people, but has available space in it.
Okay. And anyway, the thing I wanted to know is that could we have a little more control in these instances, even just for moving between instances? For now, if I want to move from an instance to another, I must have a friend in that instance. If I want to just switch instance and I have no friends because I am lonely, how do I cannot do that unless I don't know.
I understand. First of all, I'm your friend.
Also,
I'm on your friends list. I encourage everybody else in the room to add
I'm on
Mattia
his
as a
friends
friend
list
right
too.
now. But
I'll
no,
be your
to
friend.
answer your question,
Oh, he's going to get spam.
No, you're my friend.
I completely think you're right. You should have visibility over what instances are available, how many people are in each one, and you should be able to pick which one you can join. So right now, exactly as you said, you can do that. If your friend is there, they can move between instances. If a moderator is in the space, they have the capability to move you between instances too right now. But in the future, yes, we'll also want users to be able to just pick an instance and jump into it if that's what you'd like to do.
And
yeah,
maybe even create instances, maybe private instances if needed. It could be useful if I, for example, want to do something with just a group of friends and I create a private instance which only my friends can join, maybe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's another thing that we want to be able to have. In fact, fine-grained controls over the access into your spaces and into your instances, where they could be private or friends only or friends plus or completely public, and that might control, who's able to join you or who's able to follow you through a portal. All of those aspects, I definitely think that's something that we're going to have in future. And once we have an easier visibility over which instances are available, we'll also be able to very easily introduce private instances then as well.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Kill269 Lur. Talk to us. You're megaphoned. And you're muted.
Kind of like
No, you're not.
a few questions. One, how far is the customization of like our avatars is gonna go? That's my first question. I don't know if that's been answered. I joined late.
Yeah, sure, absolutely. I guess it's hard to know how far it's going to go because we're going to continue to evolve it. I think in the future, there'll definitely be a time where you can create your own custom avatars and upload them and be able to use them within Banter. I think for us, it's just about finding out what of those features that really matter to people and balancing that with how we can have a nice performant experience and try to minimize, the ability for people to crash your game using exotic avatars, right? So those are some of the conversations we're having internally about how we can achieve that.
Okay. Second thing, I kind of posted about this in the Discord under ideas. I noticed that a lot of 2D users have a lot of trouble climbing. And I know it's not a huge deal, it's not a big priority. A suggestion I had was you have like a preset animation of the character grabbing and climbing, and maybe that would help a lot. I just wondered if you do have a plan for it already, what would it be?
Yeah, absolutely. We do have a plan for it already, right? I actually think there's some other mechanics we have in the works, but right now the climbing one is really the gaping hole when it comes for 2D players. We had imagined maybe you might have some kind of a climbing mode you can enable, and at which point maybe you just click on a surface and it goes and grabs that point, and then you click like maybe left click here, right click here, and then it grabs there, and then you can sort of pull yourself up slowly. I'll be honest, it'll really depend when we get into the thick of it and try to find something that works. And I appreciate your efforts if you've spent any amount of time trying to climb already in 2D mode, because it is crazy. The advanced 2D controls are a bit easier, but not by much. So, to answer your question, definitely we're going to introduce climbing. We were also talking today about flying, right? We're looking at a flying mechanic where you would actually have to flap your arms. And we were talking about how that could translate into, I don't know, up and down mouse movements that might simulate that kind of movement so that you could do that too. But we definitely want to try and make things easier for 2D mode players. One thing that you may or may not be aware of, if you happen to have a VR player or a particularly capable 2D mode player that's nearby, you can grab their hand and they can lift you up. They can climb up and take you up with them. So that's something,
usually what
not everything, but yeah.
Yeah, like I usually play on VR. Right now I'm on desktop right now, but that's if I have a 2D friend, I usually tell them grab my hand and we'll climb up the stuff. Last question. Sorry for asking so much.
That's okay.
I had it in my mind. Hold on, give me a second. I think having the availability of a search engine in VR is really cool. Do you have plans on making it so other people could see what you're looking at, other than the big screen that's usually in the majority of the worlds?
So if I have you right, you're talking about screen sharing. Is that correct? You want to be able to screen share with other people?
Yeah.
I mean, yes. Right now, we're kind of trialing with some technology that we've been using to screen share in certain worlds, and we're looking forward to. Oh boy. We're looking forward to being able to integrate that better into the client and being able to share your screen easier, and how the mechanics of all of that will work, right? Because it's mainly going to work on PC, on desktop. It would have to work from there because there's no real screen on a standalone headset to be able to share, let's say. But yeah, we're definitely hoping to get that more integrated into the game. Did you have another question that related to a search engine of some sort?
Oh no, I must have misspoken. I don't know exactly what to call it, but like whenever you hit your pause menu and you're able to the little globe and you're able to search whatever you want. I know it's not a search engine, but that's the first thing that came to mind.
It's not about making
understood.
the in-game browser visible to other people.
Yeah, there you go. In-game browser.
Menu.
Gotcha. Yes, I'm totally with you. Well, this behind me is actually just a version of that same in-game browser, which is shared, right? This is what is used to create a lot of different things, like when people share their screen and you can, watch whatever, YouTube or Jackbox games, as Faye does quite a lot. She uses this browser, this inbuilt browser to do it. It's the same thing as the one that's in your menu. The video player that's in every world is the same thing as this. And it actually has quite a lot. If you check out the documentation on the website, there's quite a lot of features built into that allow you to synchronize it between multiple players, right? Where anytime you click on something or the page navigates or you scroll or you type stuff in, you can have all of that synced and enabled on this browser. Honestly, I think it's probably one of the most powerful things about Banter is that we have this browser integrated in a social setting and we can make use of it for so many different things. And yeah, I mean, I think, being able to share that or just being able to share your screen in general is also something that we're interested in. And we've already spent a fair amount of time prototyping and testing stuff out. And I hope that answers your question.
It does. I think that's it. I have no questions right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Labrat, I see you've got your hand up.
Before I go, does anyone else have questions? Because I don't want to take up all the time.
I've got Zingped on the pad there. I can let him go first if you want.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, sorry, just a quick question. Can you all hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
My mic is kind of poop a lot of times. For us 2D players, is there plans for like an in-game like text chat where we can actually type stuff and see like the other people in the lobby see what we type, rather than just like the direct message system?
Yes, that's a great question. I think I touched on this in the previous event a little bit, but I'll run through it again. Basically, we plan to have like a message bubble system that sits above your head and that you can use to send messages. And that might be that you type them out or that you use speech to text to do them. But we want to make it possible so that you don't have to have a mic, you don't have to speak in the game for whatever reason you might not want to.
Gotcha. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Labrad.
And this question's more on behalf of Skizot, but he never makes these events because he forgets that they're existing.
Skizot.
And if he already seeked you out privately to ask this, then sorry about this. But
that's okay.
Earlier in the week, me and him tried to implement being able to target a particular being able to target a particular player based on 2D or VR, and implement different actions to happen based on what their platform they're in. And as far as I found, there wasn't really a way to differentiate 2D and PC VR, because like their user agents are the same. They both show up as non-VR if I try to detect if they're in VR. So if there's a way to implement to do that already, then I'd love to hear it. But if not, maybe some sort of tag that we can reference, so that way if like you're in 2D, you have a different type of menu that shows up. Whereas like in Skizot's world, VR users have like a menu on their hand, but if you're in 2D, that's a bit harder to get to.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to consider. I think we want to try to create some native capability for 2D mode users that makes things a bit easier. We were talking earlier about 2D users being able to climb a bit better. We definitely want to try and improve that natively, right? So that you don't have to build in support for multiple different workflows in your world. I guess ultimately, we've been
natively. I'm sorry.
I'm just saying that we've been trying to avoid making creators have to accommodate for multiple different types of input separately. We've been trying to avoid that for a number of reasons. It puts a burden on us internally to have to build out all this additional functionality, like you to be able to determine if somebody's on 2D or not. And it could potentially affect their experience negatively, I guess. It really depends on how it gets implemented. But even if it's done one way in one world and then done a completely different way in another world, that could affect the consistency of how they know how to do things, if you know what I mean. And that's why we'd love to try to improve things across the board in every world, so that you don't have to take all that extra time and effort. Now, all that being said, just one moment, Mavrad, if I could just finish this point. All that being said, I'm fully open to the idea that we will fail in that effort, and then yes, absolutely, we can expose a flag where you can tell who's who. But ideally, we're trying to avoid that scenario.
And I would agree. Ideally, everything being universal is great, but yeah, for edge case scenarios, having that flag would be nice, because like something like Skizot's custom menu thing on your hand, that would be an edge case that he would like to have a flag to be able, so 2D users have a static menu somewhere in their vision instead of the hand thing.
Yes. Well, something we've talked about internally is when we overhauled the new menu, we were hoping to have a section within there that's basically a customizable space property section. We've talked about this internally, that you'd have somewhere where when you go into a world, there's a place in the menu that has settings for that world. So potentially that could serve as a place to surface some of these controls where 2D users can always access them. And then you can also attach them to hands and go that extra mile for VR users. But you could be right. Having that flag there to be able to tell could absolutely be the way to go. I have nightmares, let's say, of then it becoming now it's a flag for whether you're on standalone or PC VR, and then worlds become different if that's the case. Or then
Well,
it's a flag if you're on
I will
Quest
tell
2
you,
versus Quest 3, because we've had a number of requests for that. It
I
ends up,
will. No.
yeah,
I will tell you there is already a way to tell the difference between PC VR and standalone, and specifically what headset you're on. That already exists. There's just no way to tell the difference between PC VR and 2D mode.
sure. Yeah, well, like I say, it depends, I guess, right? It may not be that that's information is available in all cases. I guess if you're in Unity, that information is probably not as easily readily available. Like I say, the fear that we have is that you have spaces which are limited for one type of player and not limited for another. And we worry about that specifically because that's one of the number one concerns that our research has showed that people have for using other platforms like VR chat, right? We kind of want everybody to be considered to be on the same level. And that's why having native solutions that elevate everybody, right? Rising tides lifts all ships. Those are ideal candidates for us, but I do have fears that people will start to build worlds that are much simpler for standalone players and then put all their time and effort and not worry about optimizing it all for PC VR or for high end or for whatever it might be. And I just want to make sure and reiterate that when you're building content in here, at least with any of the initiatives that we have, that's definitely the place that we're coming from. We want there to be as much consistency as possible across 2D mode, PC VR, and standalone VR as well. And eventually 2D mode on mobile, which is going to come too, right? I think that if we can abstract as much of that complexity natively ourselves and solve that, then it means that you don't have to have 4 different versions of everything to cover mobile and VR on standalone and PC VR and 2D mode. And in the future, if it ever comes, potentially consoles, all of that kind of stuff. I mean, it sounds simple, I guess, to add a flag in the short term, but the reason we're hesitant is because something like this can really get out of hand quickly, and it multiplies the burden on the platform and on the people who create for the platform. So that's why we're kind of hesitant, and we want to try and solve that problem upstream in a more elegant way that means that you don't necessarily have to do that, right? So
Understood.
yeah, ideally we can fix that and make it better for everybody without you having to do different things for different worlds. But we may fail, and if we do, we'll put the flags in.
Okay, understood. I understand your concern, yeah, but I just will point out the fact that besides for differentiating between 2D and PC VR, a lot of that concern can already be done by a creator. Like just on the simple fact that there's a desktop and Android version, I can easily upload 2 different assets for those uploads and
I
create that
completely get that.
situation without the
Of
flag.
course, people can do any number of things that they want to do, right? The difference, I think, is whether or not we actively encourage that. And that's where the
I got
difference
you.
is for us, right? So absolutely people can do stuff. It's whether or not that's something that we will, if they come to us and ask us, should I be doing this? We're going to say, no, you shouldn't do that, because people are going to get upset if their experience is different to yours and the 2D user can't use the slide because they're on 2D and slides aren't for them or whatever. It starts out pretty innocuous, but it can end up just separating experience for multiple people. And what usually ends up happening is that the burden on the creator of the world means that they focus their priorities on one platform only, and the others become potentially an afterthought. I'd love to keep exploring this, right, and see what happens. And I have no plans to try and block people from doing anything they can do right now today. And you're absolutely right. You know, 2 asset bundles, you can build them completely separately. You could have 2 completely different worlds for PC and Quest today. But we would sort of urge that you try to stick to that consistency, because the experience for you, for us, and for all the users is generally going to be a lot better if you can stick to that. Otherwise, it
I
can get
agree.
messy. But sometimes messy is necessary. And if that's the case, then that's fine, right? We're prepared to accept that.
All right. I gotta go, but thank you for giving me your time. I'll
Cheers,
catch you
lab
later,
rat,
Shane.
as always. I'll catch you later. I think that's probably a nice one to end it on, because we're 3 minutes over. Yeah, just to point out, right, so before this event, most of you were there. We had the first Banterama, right? The Banter AMA, a place you can come just ask any general questions about Banter. Send new users there if you come across them, so they can ask us any questions they like, and they can get talking to us face to face. Originally, this Space Makers event was supposed to cover off, you know, some initial discussion around the documentation and making spaces, and then a Q&A like we usually have, and also a portion of it was supposed to be dedicated for people to show their worlds. I have to apologize to some of those people, because the Q&A is really went on, which I think is great. Honestly, it's a good complaint to have. I'm really excited that people are eager to ask questions. And I just wanted to make you aware that we've started another event to try and help with this. It's called the Space Hopper event, and Faye has just started that one. We just had the first one, and yeah, that's a dedicated event where you can get in touch with Faye. She can add your space to the list, and we can jump through world by world and get everybody to jump into your world and have a blast and give you some feedback or whatever you need to do. Now, all that being said, I still encourage anybody here. We are at Space Makers after all. Oh, I nearly forgot the most important thing, right?
I know, right?
Do you want to do your
Sure.
usual, Faye? Yeah, go ahead.
Of course, I would be happy to. Aline, something like she wanted to say something?
You forgot something else.
Oh.
What did I forget?
What's that?
Everyone who is not aware, we're running a Space Maker competition to the end of the month.
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
So if you want to get feedback, it always helps there. Most of the time, it's not worth it to try to keep it to yourself and say, ooh, I'm doing it all in secret, and then I blast them out of their socks when I show it. Most of the times that does not work well in my experience. So if you want to get some feedback, just give us a call or just throw it in on the World Hopper, and people can give you valuable feedback. That helps a lot in my experience.
Absolutely. I completely reiterate that. Maybe we can have some more dedicated events in the run up to the end of the month as well, just specifically for showcasing creations for this competition, right? If anybody wants more info or wants to find out what kind of criteria we're looking for that our judges are going to be basing their decisions on, all the info's in the Discord. So jump in there if you're not already in there. But go ahead, Faye, if you want to do the bit you've all been waiting for.
Absolutely. Okay. So for this week's random Quest 3 winner, we chose someone who was at the SideQuest Indie Spotlight this last Wednesday. So at 20:37 GMT time, we randomly pulled Zima, Zima, and they have now won a Quest 3. Congratulations! Woo! Woo!
Yay.
Yes. And you can win too. We're still giving away one Quest 3 every week until Christmas. So just be in Banter to win.
Is Zima in here? I'm not sure if they're here.
I did not see them in today.
That's okay. I'll let them know on Discord. Yeah.
Awesome.
Fun fact, guys, we're actually giving away a Quest 3 until New Year's. I just wanted to let you know there is an extra week in there. Christmas just sounded better, right? So we've been saying until Christmas, but it's actually running until the end of the month. So there is an extra one in there. But yeah, I tell you what, give me 2 seconds. Why not just run another quick giveaway while we're all here?
I'm glad I didn't hit quit game so soon.
Okay, let me just. I need to put Janky Kong's win in from earlier. Janky Kong. Okay, and then let's draw another one. Okay, spinning the wheel.
Spinning the wheel. It's an actual wheel.
It's for a Quest game?
This is for a free any game of your choice from the Quest store. And the winner is Your Luck. Congratulations, Your Luck. That's,
Congratulations.
Congrats, Your Luck.
Got a lot of luck.
Both Your Luck and Cinnamon, who both got won Quest 3s the other day, also both won free game of their choice to go with their brand new Quest 3 as well today. So let's see, how many have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those done. So that means there's 3 more free Quest game keys to go out by the end of the day. So yeah, keep an eye out, folks. Yes, and bear in mind it's a long day because it starts in one time zone and ends in another. So there's 10 in total we're giving away today. We've done 7 already. Okay, I'm going to jump out, folks. Honestly, it's been great. I have come to really enjoy these sessions we have together every Sunday. But I will talk to you all very soon.
Ooh.
Thank you.
See you later.
I hear thunder.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to keep myself in a cool way.
Oops, and you got to get this.
Alrighty, rascals.
Nice.